Well, hello everyone. Today is the 1st of April 2022. The local time is about 20:09. That's local time, and I felt the need to make yet another video. I keep making them. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. This is, of course, or perhaps not of course, but for some reason after Sunday, all the events in the Ukraine seem to have gone out of my life completely, and the whole debacle of last Sunday's Oscars seems to have come to the forefront. So after watching an awful lot of videos about this and an awful lot of video commentators on this, I thought it was about time that I added my own 5 cents worth to the whole discussion, if that is indeed what it is, the whole debate or just the whole commentary on what has transpired. Everybody's got an opinion. Somebody has said, you know, just keep it clean. Opinions are like armpits. Everybody's got one. So, and not even me. And these days it gets more and more difficult to express one's opinion in public places, in public houses, cafes, workplaces, places of worship, whatever. But one still has one's own private opinions, which it would seem to me need to be expressed. So the whole Chris Rock and Will Smith debacle that took place at the Oscars last Sunday. What a mess. Now, I come at this from a particular perspective. I listen to people about words. There are some avowedly Christian teachers who speak about words and the power of words and how important it is for one to choose one's words carefully. So that's a branch of Christian teaching. In other areas, words do not seem to be important. Certainly, even in industry though, words have become important in recent years. At one particular company I worked at, we had to spend half a day listening to an industrial lawyer speaking about what was, still is called, diversity and equality in the workplace. And we were told in no uncertain terms in that particular lecture by this employment law specialist, we were told, and this was years and years ago, 10 years ago, that if some kind of dispute happened in industry, in the workplace, and it came to a court case or an industrial tribunal. That's what we have here in the United Kingdom, or we used to. I used to have something called industrial tribunals to settle these the disputes that come up from time to time. And we were told that if somebody cracked a joke about somebody else, and the person on the receiving end of the joke took offence and became annoyed or whatever, the person who delivered the joke was basically their defence. If they said that they were only joking, we were informed by this industrial lawyer that that was not an acceptable defence, certainly in an industrial tribunal here in the UK. I was only joking was never going to be accepted. Because apparently, and this is according to the industrial lawyer that delivered the teaching, if you like, and this has got nothing to do with religion or anything else. This has just got to do with the modern workplace. And this lawyer, this industrial lawyer, was quite clear. He said he'd seen so much damage done by words that he supported this position that I was only joking argument is never accepted in a tribunal. And that was his position. So that's where I'm coming from. That's the kind of background I have. So one, you've got the Christian background where you've got a certain set of people, certain set of Christian teachers. They could be false teachers, who knows? They could be false prophets, but you've got a certain bunch of allegedly Christian teachers who come out and teach on the power of words and how careful we should be about the sensitivities of other people. Then you've got an industrial lawyer who speaks again about the power of words and what is acceptable and unacceptable in a court of law. And then fast forward to last Sunday, where Chris Rock makes a joke about another man's wife. Now that is something that I would not do under normal circumstances, unless I really knew the couple really, really, really well. But I would still be very careful about making a joke about another man's wife, to be quite honest. Maybe that would be out of respect for the man, out of respect for the woman. That is not something that I would do, certainly consciously. Now, with regards to Chris Rock, it is alleged apparently that Chris Rock did not know about Will Smith's wife's condition vis-a-vis alopecia. That is, a certain amount of boldness. And that the reason why she had cut her hair so short it was basically a reaction against her alopecia. So she was rolling with the punch of alopecia and she was making the best of a bad situation. But it is alleged, now who knows, I don't know, that Chris Rock did not actually know about the alopecia. So he was just remarking on what he thought was a fact. Will Smith's wife, Jada, was making a fashion statement. And so he was mocking her fashion statement and calling her, G.I. Jane. As jokes go, in my view, that was not a malicious joke. That was a fairly light joke. But, if you go with the industrial tribunal people, or if you go with that particular branch of Christianity, and, making a joke about another man's wife, well, he was asking for trouble. But then, in today's culture, that's what comedians do. Apparently it's called roasting. You roast somebody. And certainly my impression has been, certainly in the workplace in the United Kingdom, that, you cannot take offence. To take offence, somebody takes the mickey out of you, you take offence and punch the guy, you've got problems. Certainly, anyway, so that's Chris Rock. So he makes a joke about another man's wife, but at the same time, it wasn't a serious joke, and I certainly didn't pick up any malice. She should have laughed, I thought. So then, as the enraged husband, I've lost all respect for Will Smith. Not that I didn't even know who Chris Rock was until last Sunday. And I wasn't really familiar with the works of Will Smith. I'm not a big Hollywood aficionado, it's not really my scene. Like I say, I don't know Chris Rock, and I really don't really know Will Smith or his girlfriend or his wife. But I've got no respect for the man. I mean, from the point of view, if one has been a believer in the macho response, I'm a guy, man. I'm pumped with testosterone. You look at me the wrong way, I'm going to punch your lights out. Kind of thing. No. To me, that kind of masculinity, if you want to call it that, on display by Will Smith last Sunday was disgraceful, in my view. Even if it was a disgraceful joke, that was not the response. Some people have said he should have just stood up. If he really took offence, that much of an offence, he could have just stood up and said, look, I'm going to ask you to apologise to my wife, please. If he was that upset, that's what he should have done. And solved it, in an amicable way. That would have caused minor headlines or even major headlines, but it would not have gone to the dimensions that this is now is. And it just, to me, Chris Rock, for my part, Chris Rock comes out of this very well indeed. Look at how he handled himself when he's on the receiving end of a violent assault. He still managed himself with professional calmness. I don't know whether I could have managed that in those kind of circumstances, but he was thoroughly professional, which is what Will Smith should have been. I mean, he was the man that was getting the Oscar. So, I don't know. You know, I mean, there's so much going on. I'm not part of that set. I never will be. But I do think Will Smith was wrong. And his wife, really, they both come across now as humourless for me. You know, they can't take a joke. You know, they cannot take a joke. And apparently there's been a lot of video clips of both Will Smith and his wife Jada taking the mickey out of other people. So really, they haven't really got much of a leg to stand on. So, I don't know. It's just going on and on and on. There's lots of commentary about it. But I just think that for what it's worth, that the man that comes out of this looking the best from my point of view is Chris Rock. He comes out the best. He didn't retaliate. He didn't even get angry. And he continued with professional aplomb to carry on discharging his role as the Master of Ceremonies, or one of the MCs at the Oscars. Whereas Mr. Smith has completely embarrassed himself by hitting the man, but then with the vulgar, the vulgar shouting, shut your mouth, don't get your wife's name off your mouth, and all of that, twice at the Oscars. No, not the Oscars. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I used to have a girlfriend years ago, and she loved the Oscars. But that was the last time I got interested, and that was because she was interested in it. I've never really followed it that much. And certainly after this, if I'd have done this, if I'd gone into a pub and say the lead singer of the band decided to take a pop at me, and I went up to the lead singer of the band and punched him because I took offence at what he said, then I'd have been thrown out of the pub. There'd be no question of it. I'd have just been thrown out. Either some people in the crowd would have grabbed me, and then the landlord would have come and taken over and just, on no uncertain terms, ejected me from the premises. I've seen it happen. People behave in an inappropriate manner in a public place. They get thrown out. But not in this case. He gets, he gets a standing ovation. He gets given the Oscar and then gets given a standing ovation. That would not have happened to me if I'd have gone down the pub or any kind of public venue and assaulted somebody. I don't think I would have got a standing ovation. Allowed to stay in the premises and then get a standing ovation from the crowd. I don't think that's going to happen. I would have had nothing but hostility from the crowd. But because this guy's got money, presumably, apparently he's a multi-millionaire. I don't know that much about the man, but he's a multi-millionaire at least. They let him get away with it. Because if I'd have done it, that would have been it. I would have been forcibly ejected. And if I'd have hurt somebody, I could be up for criminal damages and criminal charges. But because a rich man does it, the Oscars have really come out of this badly. So Will Smith has come out of this very badly. And so is the Oscars for, not handling the situation properly. you know, the rich and the powerful are above the law. They can assault somebody. Because what they're doing is they're saying, well, it's sweet, it's okay, assault somebody, who cares? And then that brings up the whole issue of jokes and comedians. And then, really, what if I'd have been at those Oscars, I would have walked out the Oscars. I could not be party to that. So that's my 5 penny worth. I've been listening to it. Apparently Chris Rock has done a show in Boston in America, and apparently the price of his tickets is going through the roof. People are paying a lot of money to see him. People are very interested to see what he's got to say and how he's reacting. This whole issue of comedy. Back in the UK many years ago, there can be some pretty offensive comedians out there who really push the boundaries of free speech and the boundaries of what you might call public decency. I can't think of a better word at the moment. Now, apparently one guy, it became a big case here in the UK, one of these comedians who got quite a mouth on him, and people had paid good money to go and see this guy, so they knew what they were getting. They'd paid the money to go and see the guy, so they knew what they were going to be getting. Now, apparently this particular couple had a child who had a particular syndrome. I can't remember what it was, but the child had a well-known disease. And right in the middle of it, this comedian came out and made a joke about children with that kind of disease. And they were greatly offended, and I think they tried to bring charges against him. Now, I can't remember all of the details. So this, you know, this brings a whole issue of the power of words and comedy. Now, I love a good laugh. And it seems to be in human nature, you know, to have a laugh and to take the mickey. But what is it doing to somebody? I mean, that goes then against Chris Rock, because he made a joke at the expense of another man's wife. But so then, what do you do? But there's been a lot of talk about this, you know, the freedom of speech discussion and debate, and the right to offend. The right to offend. So this debate just continues and continues and continues. I really don't know what the solution is at the moment. So does this mean, you know, really, you know, never make a joke, especially at somebody else's expense? Because if you do make a joke at somebody else's expense, then they may not be able to contain their anger and then have a pop. Are they justified then in going to violence if you make a joke at their expense? You know, who's right, who's wrong? It certainly needs looking at. So thanks for listening. As always, please leave any comments below, and subscribe to the channel, such as it is. I don't make an awful lot of videos, but any discussion, any debates, any positions, even any jokes, you know, make a joke even, you know, maybe I'm a bit bold, do you know what I mean? You might make a joke about that, maybe, I don't know. Am I going to come and slap you? Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and let me know what you think. Hit subscribe and all the rest of it. You know the drill. Thanks and good night and God bless.